Well, hello there, my friend Jonathan Doyle with you once again. Welcome to my humble little studio. You're welcome here. You've come to the right place. If you'd like to grow, if you'd like to develop, if you have a sense that there's this amazing potential inside you, that all the difficulties and setbacks you have faced have not yet managed to crush, then you are in the right place. Please make sure you have subscribed. It is really awesome if you could do that. It does make a difference. It pushes the content further up the rankings. So I'd love you to subscribe and then go and check out all the links below. You can book me to speak. You can book me for coaching. It is all there. All right, let's rip in. Today we're going to talk about the issue of low self-esteem, self-doubt, lack of self-confidence. I don't know about you, but I think all of us deal with this. You might be the 1% of people that just come into life totally, completely convinced of your own wonderful magnificence. But for the rest of us, we often experience self-doubt, self-rejection, low self-esteem, low self-confidence. I have had the privilege of coaching unique men and women in senior executive leadership. I remember once, a while ago, I was coaching this woman who was responsible for a huge industry group dealing with billions of dollars a year, huge sector of the economy. And she reached out to me because she was struggling with, wait for it, imposter syndrome. She was incredibly smart, gracious, talented, but she had a story in her mind that she'd only got there because people kind of felt a bit sorry for her and promoted her, and she felt that she was going to be exposed and found out. Classic imposter syndrome. I've coached and worked with so many men and women around the world who you would meet and you would think they were just amazing, but have these deeply fractured beliefs that many of us carry, right? We're all in this together, so don't feel you're alone for a start. Finally, I have this other friend who came from the most incredible family, great upbringing. This person is so psychologically healthy, but they shared with me a while ago just this fear they have of getting things wrong, of messing things up, of being inadequate somehow. You would never know it. So I want to start this message by saying all of us deal with this at different times in life. So a little bit like my message from a few days ago about how we're only born in life with two natural fears. I don't think we're born with low self-confidence. I don't think we're born with self-doubt. I mean, when you're a little kid, right? Like if you just manage to stand on 2 feet and then you fall on your face, everyone claps. If you can go to the bathroom on your own, everybody's like giving you high fives. So when you're little, you can do no wrong. And I don't think we carry a lot of self-doubt. But then of course we live and then we experience rejection. We experience hurtful comments. We experience we're either too short, too tall, too fat, too skinny, too much hair, not enough hair. Hips are wrong. Hips are too big. Hips are too small. Biceps are too big. Whatever. You figure it out. We all know exactly what I'm talking about. So the journey of life takes the edges off all of us, doesn't it? We all get a bit bruised and battered by life. So what do? How do you actually improve self-confidence and low self-esteem? Well, I guess it's the topic that launched 1,000 books, right? You could jump on Amazon today and type in low self-esteem. You find 1,000 books. So I just want to offer you an idea that came to me. If you want to go down below here, you're going to find the podcast version in the links. And I go a lot deeper. I go long. It's a long version podcast. Well, for me, longer. But I encourage you to go check that out because I do go deeper into it. But I had a thought, and I want to suggest to you that when you were young, you had a unique superpower that I am almost convinced you have forgotten. I've forgotten it too. Well, not actually, because I just remembered it because I'm going to share it with you, but you get my point. So, what was your magical superpower? Well, I reckon we haven't maybe met, but I have a strong feeling that when you were very little, you probably thought you could fly. You may have thought you were a superhero, and you may have spent large amounts of time being someone else. Because when you were little, you had this incredible ability for fantasy, for imagination, and for make-believe. But then, of course, we grow up and we lose that. So what's my point here? Stay with me. I'm going to flesh this out. I want to tell you something first. I spoke in a city recently, had about 250 people in the room, and I showed some pictures of Conor McGregor, the MMA, UFC cage fighter, and then I showed some pictures of Muhammad Ali, and I talked about these guys because I said, when you listen to them, I watched a biography recently of Conor McGregor, and then I showed them this photo of Muhammad Ali. It's a classic photo where he's standing over his opponent who he's knocked out, and it's just an incredibly famous photograph. And I said to the audience, when you listen to these guys, I said, when I watch these documentaries, the level of self-belief these guys have is off the scale. What's my point? Well, people either love it or hate it, right? People are like, well, yeah, they're obnoxious, they're arrogant. Maybe so, but the powerful effect upon their own lives of what they believe to be true and who they think they are is remarkable. Ali was just going all the time going, I'm the greatest. I am the greatest. And McGregor as well. So I want to try something here. I think that they just constructed an absolutely idealized self and just went with it. And I wonder what would happen if you began to construct a new idealized sense of self and began to pretend that it was real. If you think it's crazy, Beyonce, the singer, she apparently has an alter ego. She says that she's naturally in herself, she's pretty shy. She has this alter ego, and this alter ego has actually got a different name. And when she goes out on stage, she becomes and inhabits that person. So if you want to beat low self self-esteem and self-doubt. Well, you can spend a bazillion on therapy and you can read every book, but sooner or later, you have to believe something different, right? I mean, ultimately, that's it. You have to believe something different. You have to move from these secret beliefs that you barely catch yourself thinking like, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, and moving yourself to something different. What if you could reinvent that superpower from your childhood? What if instead of flying physically in your fantasy, you began to fly financially or physically, in your body or in your relationships? What if you just decided that you were someone different? Usually when you try to do this, everybody around you loses their mind because the systems we inhabit, the family systems, the friendship systems, often operate to keep us exactly where we are. It's one of the basic principles of personal development is that you've got to be really careful who's around you in life because those people will either give you permission to fly or they'll try and tie you back down to earth. So let me wrap this up. What I am saying to you is, why don't you try and experiment? Why don't you imagine the absolute most magnificent person you would like to be? Imagine yourself with the attitude, the body movements, the career, the possessions, the spirituality, the health, the contribution that would just blow your mind. And why don't you try spending a few days being that person? Because you once knew exactly how to do it. All that's happened is you've forgotten. We all grew up, we all became serious, and we left that superpower behind. And today's message, my dear friend, is simply about encouraging you to dust that off. I'm going to do it too. I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to be really thinking about some of the beliefs and attitudes that I need to shift, the doubts that I have, and the person that I want to be, because I'm on a journey with you. Totally every single day is just getting up, going further. So I pray that this message will be a blessing to you today, that you'll realize that you were made for so much more. Your story is not over. There is limitless potential inside you, but maybe you've got to start imagining a different story and imagining a different you and stepping into that you. All right, God bless you. Please make sure you've subscribed. If you'd like to book me to speak live, go and check out the link here, my coaching links here, my social feeds, the podcast version. Hope they're all a blessing to you. My name's Jonathan Doyle. You and I are going to speak again tomorrow.